passion and pageantry of college football lives here. This is the Paul Finebaum Show, Hour 1 podcast.
This might be college football heaven.
And we are closing in on the biggest basketball game of the year, Alabama and Auburn. Shouldn't that be football? This year's football game wasn't that exciting. Good afternoon and welcome to the weekend on this Valentine's Day. Hope everybody's having a great day. And let's get started with some headlines here. Bama and Auburn prime for the biggest game in the rivalry's history. But will it be the last time they meet this year for something important? They could have some bigger matchups down the road. This is a 1 versus 2 matchup. It's 4 o'clock tomorrow, 3 o'clock local time on ESPN. You know all that. We'll get deep into the weeds on this game a little bit later on. We had Janai Broom yesterday. We'll talk to Nate Oates today about the big game. Portal always seems to be a conversation piece. Max Olson writing this. We'll talk to him in about 90 minutes. This is usually the time of the year that college football fans go, oh, you know, Super Bowl's over. Let's get ready for spring football. Can't wait for the game whenever it is. Maybe not. Brandon Marcello digging deep into what could be the new theme in college football, and it may not be those big games that were often seen by many people in person and on television. Good afternoon again. Welcome in. Brandon Marcello is our first guest talking about a change sweeping the nation. Brandon, thank you. Always a lot happening in college athletics, but spring football seems to be on life support. Good afternoon. What's going on?
Hey, Paul, you know, this is something that's been kind of developing really since the pandemic year in 2020. If you remember, we canceled spring practices then, and we kind of discovered that, hey, maybe we should do some OTAs in the months of June and July, and the coaches really liked that. And I think there's some aftertaste with that as we move into this new era of, you know, obviously with the transfer portal, NIL, and, of course, now a longer college football season, the longest yet because of the playoff. And, you know, there's concern about injuries and depth. You know, rosters are about to be cut down to 105 men. And for that matter, in the spring and in future springs, especially in 26 and beyond, your roster is going to be much thinner than it's ever been, because not all your players that you're going to get from the portal or even from the high school ranks are going to be on campus in the spring. They're not going to arrive until the summer months or maybe even that next fall. And so a lot of coaches are concerned about, well, we go through spring practices, we end up getting injuries piled up, and then at some point can't even put like a starting 5 or a 2 deep out there along our offensive and defensive line. So what's the purpose of even playing a spring game, let alone doing some full contact practices throughout the spring? And then also you have coaches like Nebraska's Matt Rule, who recently said that they're worried about roster tampering, other schools watching their spring game on television and then reaching out to them and, you know, tampering with their roster before players enter the portal and trying to coax them into the portal. And I know a lot of coaches and, you know, fans will roll their eyes to that. But the truth of the matter is that tampering's happening all the time. I had an ACC head coach tell me anonymously that after their spring game last year, they had several players reached out to illegally and were tampered with, trying to get them to enter the portal. So a lot of reasons, at least in the coaches' eyes, why they want to change this and move to more of an NFL-type OTA, which is an organized team activities, and spreading it out either through the spring and summer months or just focusing solely on June and July when they have maybe most of their roster on campus. And finally, you know, coaches brought this up back in January at their coaches meeting at the AFCA convention. They didn't put a proposal in front of them, and they didn't vote on anything because they were really focused on the transfer portal. But this is something certainly that will be readdressed here in the future.
So, Brandon, all these are really great points, but as you know, because you had to suffer through these spring games in the past, they're more than just a scrimmage. These are events that the school promotes, whether they make a lot of money off of it or not. A lot of people do make money because 70, 80, 90,000 people show up on a pretty April day and bring money to the economy. So I realize that's not what your main focus is here, but that is something to consider, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I hit on it a little bit about the fan aspect of it, because a lot of fans, they go to these spring games that don't normally go to regular season games. And the reason for that is because a lot of fans, not everybody has a lot of money, so a lot of fans get priced out of the regular season. They can't afford season tickets or even single game tickets, or to take off work on a Friday so they can drive to their favorite town and go to see a game on the next Saturday and then pay a lot of fees for tickets. So they take their family out to the spring game where tickets might be $5 or even sometimes free, and they make a weekend of it. They go to town, they watch the football spring game. Usually there's a baseball series going on campus and other athletics events, and so they can make it kind of a family mini vacation. And they go out there, and they don't have to spend a lot of money like they usually would. Meanwhile, the community, as you said, the town itself gets an influx of cash because people are dining out, getting hotel rooms, and I think at this point, if you were to get rid of the spring game, and for that matter, spring practices, and do some type of OTA activity, I think schools would really need to look hard at themselves in the mirror and go, we got to still have some interactivity with the fans during the off season. So maybe like what the NFL does with their OTAs, you open up some of those for fans. You set up some bleachers at your practice field and set them up and bring them in and let them come watch practices. But having said all that, it's not the same as going to a spring game. Say what you will about it actually being football and resembling a game, but it's still an event. Like you mentioned, you go to Tuscaloosa or Auburn or Tennessee, you'll get 80, 90,000 people showing up to these spring games just so they can tailgate and party and have fun and see it, get a sneak peek of their team. I'm not so sure you'd be able to replicate that at all with an OTA type schedule.
Brandon, let's leave that subject just for a second. As we make the turn towards spring, I know you have your eyes and ears on all the campuses, especially in the SEC. For this audience, what are you sensing? What are you watching for? What are you looking at?
Well, it's amazing. I talk to coaches across the country, and the first question I ask them whenever I get them on the phone or I see them in person, I say, "What's your roster look like?" And they immediately give me some bewildered look, or I hear them go on the phone. They're still trying to figure out their depth pieces going into the spring. And for that matter, kind of trying to figure out after the spring where they need to go hit the portal hardest to kind of build up some depth. Not a lot of teams are maybe looking for starters, but they're looking for guys that'll be role players coming up in this spring window. And when you look across the SEC, I think the story is going to be, can you get programs that really need to have a quick turnaround, have their new quarterbacks really step up? And I look at Auburn and I look at OU as the kind of two teams I'm looking at the most. So John Mateer there at OU, coming from Washington State. I mean, he followed Cam Ward there at Washington State and put up monstrous numbers, but did so obviously against a Mountain West schedule. Can he transfer that over to OU, which was just absolutely dreadful offensively this last year, and they're undergoing some changes there. And then meanwhile, Auburn, they get OU's former quarterback, Jackson Arnold, bringing him in, and Hugh Freeze has got to win, and he's got to win big now. Same as Brenton Venables at OU. I think both programs are in the spot now, heading into their second, third, fourth years or whatever as head coach at those programs, where they've got to win 9 games this year to really kind of meet expectations for the fans. And that's a heavy lift these days, much more so than it was 4 or 5 years ago. Winning 9 games in the SEC now, or even the Big Ten and one of these power conferences, is very, very hard to do, because even you really saw it this year. You win a national championship, you're probably going to still have 2 losses at some point. I mean, you're talking about a 10-win team in the regular season end up maybe winning a national championship, or an 11-win team. And now you're setting up the expectations that place at OU and Auburn, where you've under-delivered these last couple of years, and now it's, hey, win us 9 or 10 games. That is very, very difficult to do. And it's all going to start with the quarterbacks of those 2 programs.
Great stuff from Brandon Marcello, 24/7. Brandon, thank you very, very much. Always good to check in with you. We are off and running here on this Friday afternoon. A lot more for us to deal with, and your phone calls, of course. We have a few more guests that will be dropping by. Chef Elizabeth on Valentine's Day, we asked for her, and she will deliver. Max Olson, and then the head coach of the number 1 or 2 team in the country, depending on your preference. Nate Oates will join us live from Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
We're back here on a Friday afternoon. Great to have all of you with us. Let's start the calls from Elmo in Birmingham.
What's going on, Paul?
Elmo, good afternoon.
Long time.
It has been, but for those who don't know, Elmo is one of the he doesn't call but every couple of years, but he's one of the original callers to the show.
Well, Rich from Atlanta has called me a historian of the show now. So
pretty accurate in my mind.
Yeah, I don't know I really don't know what that means, but anyway, I speak for a lot of people in Birmingham. We're all very happy that you're coming back.
Thank you very
much. But I must ask you, do you plan on getting Haney to give you a place up there at Jocks to do the show from, or what?
If Ryan Haney offered me something, I certainly would be interested.
So you would Zoom your part of the show to Charlotte.
Those are really good questions, Elmo, of which I have no answers right now. But I appreciate you thinking of that.
Okay, but it is cooking. We could just say
it's cooking. It just depends about how hot. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know the deal with Haney. You buy him a steak dinner, you can get him for nothing.
Well, no, listen, Ryan Haney, who was my boss in Birmingham, is not only that, he's a great friend, and I would love to be reunited with him and his entire crew.
I know you would. Paul, I want to call up and give you an update on I-Man. Really, the idea for the GoFundMe came from a conversation we had on Twitter between Rich from Atlanta, Squirrel, and myself, and we can put AJ in there too.
Okay.
And we wanted to create this to help I-Man out through this difficult time he's going through. He, based on everything that he's posted on Twitter, I haven't talked to him on the telephone, but he says he's doing okay. His next and final treatment will be next Wednesday. Okay. So he's functional and he's making it.
Yeah. By the way, I'm glad you mentioned that. And we've tried to pump that out a little bit on social media, and I hope people will pay attention. Elmo, I know you just put something out too. It's the only way to contribute. So I hope people will do that.
Well, we have managed to come up with $4,000, and the $5,000 is a goal as of today. So I'm hoping we'll hit the $5,000 next week. Who knows? We may go beyond $5,000. But I just want to get the word out that, maybe people, I heard Legends call yesterday, and he referenced this cat, I call him a jive ass. It's Chris from South Carolina talking about how the old timers on the show need to be in the nursing home.
Right.
Paul, all we do is just make things happen. We don't talk. We just make things happen. So something beautiful is going on right now. And Paul, this show has always had many complexities to it, many layers. And part of that is the genuine love and affection that the old timers and the callers have for each other, and the fact that we still talk to each other on Twitter. But anyway, I've said enough, and would like to thank you for your support. I knew you was going to be automatic, and hopefully the next time I call, which will probably be very soon, we can talk about something of substance like football or something. Because I've got many opinions.
Well, I'm glad and Elmo, really, I appreciate you saying that about Rusty, and it's on social media right now, so I hope people will pay attention to it. And we're in a really weird position here in terms of things like that. But I don't mind you talking about it, and I don't mind anyone talking about it.
I talked to Jamari. I understand the situation. I'm just glad the word's getting out. But That's all I got today. Hope you have a good weekend, and welcome back to Birmingham whenever the hell you get here.
Elmo, I expect to see you at the county line. Thank you very much. Elmo, who has called this show for literally forever, and we appreciate that very much. Let's continue with more calls. The judge is up next.
Hey, Paul. Thank you for taking my call. I've got a little crow to pick with you. You indicated yesterday in front of a national TV audience that I lied about how I got my name Abraham. Now, you know that the Holocaust lasted from 1933 to 1944. And I can tell you that I didn't appreciate your comment about that.
Well, Judge, first of all, I don't think I used the word lie. You're misquoting me way out of context, and you know that. So why don't you start telling the truth? I said I had a hard time believing that you were born in 1943. That's all I said. And Judge, I'm really getting sick and tired of your misrepresentation. I hope this was not indicative of the way you used to run your courtroom, although I fear it was.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about how I ran my courtroom.
Well, Judge, Judge, you don't need to tell me because I've been in enough courtrooms and I've seen judges who have that haughty, arrogant, condescending attitude that you represent here. So you don't need to tell me what kind of judge you were. I already know.
Well, no, you don't know that I made mistakes.
Like the one you just made right now, slandering my good name.
Well, I made plenty of mistakes.
Trying to make yourself look better.
I made a horrible mistake when I said that Jim from Tuscaloosa should be committed.
No, you really
didn't,
wouldn't have
Judge.
The power. You never said anything until I called you out on it. And then when I asked you to apologize to Jim, you put some bogus quid pro quo on there, which I expected from you because you could not admit that you were wrong. Then you tried to camouflage it with a bunch of legalese, which has always been your nature.
Well, I made a terrible mistake there because...
Have you reached out to Jim personally, or are you just saying that to make yourself feel better?
Let me tell you why I made a mistake.
No, you didn't make.
I made a mistake.
You're giving me a word salad right now,
he
Judge.
would be held in contempt for what he said on that program if he said it in court. I should have said that. I made a mistake.
Well, that's the problem, though. You probably have sent people off to the gas chamber, and I made a mistake. But hey, can you? Oh, it's too late. Too late now.
Well, wait just a minute.
That's called revisionist history,
when I made
Judge.
a mistake in court, and I slept over it, I would change it the next day.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's too late if they already turned the gas on in the chamber. Thank you, Judge. We're up against the break. We'll bring me some blood pressure medication, even though I've never had it before. We are going to start talking about what this day means, Valentine's Day. We haven't had a very smooth beginning, but we're hoping the chef will bring some love to our program here in a minute.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
Well, we're going to try to get in a better state of mind. It is Valentine's Day. Remember, that was always the day as a young kid. You used to send cards to everybody at school, and then as you got older, you know the rest of that story. Well, we decided to bring our sweetheart of the Finebaum Show into the conversation. Look at that. Chef Elizabeth has joined
us. If it isn't Saint Valentine himself, how are you, darling? Are you good?
I so desperately, and I mean desperately, wanted to be with you today, but
I know. All day I was thinking, I wonder if I'll hear from my precious friend. And then they called this morning, and I was thrilled. I couldn't wait to see you.
And the last time I think I talked to you, you were on the beach somewhere with your family, and I was sitting here in a cold studio getting ready to cover a bunch of games. But so tell me about this day and bring some brightness into what's already been a grim 32 minutes.
You know, Exactly. Good Lord, there was some drama going on the show. And so that's why I'm so glad that I am here, because I'm bringing nothing but love and happiness to you and to all the viewers. So this is a day that I look forward to all year long. I mean, when we don't have one day that just focuses on love and being kind. And I mean, I guess, I guess there are, but this one to me is wrapped up in pink and red. And I love it. I absolutely love everything about it. I love cooking on this day. I love all of the candy. I love sweets. I love chocolate. And so we did some really fun stuff this year. We partnered with our flower shop, Oxford Floral, which is here in Oxford. As you can see, these beautiful flowers that my other Valentine gave me. And then we did chocolate covered strawberries. But we also did bacon wrapped breadsticks and drizzled them in chocolate.
Ooh.
Paul, I know you don't eat, but I'm telling you, I do think that if I was there right now, I know you would try this. I know you would.
Elizabeth, you have a way with me that I would try almost anything.
Oh my gosh, it's been too long, Paul.
So, okay, so let's start with food, and we'll get to the rest of it later. But I mean, a lot of people, I'll include myself, we're clueless on this day. We don't really know what to do. And by the way, it's not too late. I mean, you can blow the first half of the day, but there's still a couple hours left to make a comeback. So, what do you recommend?
I recommend, all right, so we did a little dinner series, a date night dinner series, because if you don't have reservations yet, you ain't going nowhere.
No.
Okay. So, and that's fine. That's fine. You can act like you had dinner planned the entire time. And I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to do. You're going to get yourself over to the grocery store. And, I love to cook a steak because it's so unbelievably easy. And, a steak, maybe a twice stuffed baked potato. And then I'm going to give you the best recipe you've ever had in your life, which is a chocolate pot de creme. It takes minutes to make. You put it in the fridge, you let it set for a little bit. And I'm telling you, honey, your Valentine is going to be so happy to have this. So that's what I would do. I would sear that beautiful steak, whatever you decide, on both sides in a cast iron skillet, put it in the oven to finish it. I mean, seriously, what else do you need?
Yeah, and Elizabeth, I think people overthink this day. I know they do. I'll include myself. So that's one great suggestion.
But I mean, I think I'm going to tell you, Paul. I think some people get jaded and they think, oh, it's just, it's a Hallmark holiday. It's a made up holiday,
Right.
and I don't think so. I think sometimes we just need to kind of stop and show the people around us that we love them. And, I don't know any other better way than serving your precious, friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, a really great meal. Have a nice glass of wine. I mean, come on. That's really precious.
Okay, so it is fairly late in the day to get flowers, though, isn't it?
No, I'm going to tell you, every grocery store right now, you could walk in right now and grab some flowers. It is not too late for anything. You can also go and get some chocolate. If you don't want to do a big meal, then that's fine. Order in something really fun, and maybe make that chocolate pot de creme for dessert, or dip a few strawberries like we did. I mean, this is so easy. It's berries and chocolate. Dip it and then just let it sit for a minute. I mean, seriously, just do whatever you can get done. But the main point of this day is to make somebody else feel special.
Okay.
That's all it is. And so, I think people do overthink it, and then they end up doing nothing because they just feel so overwhelmed by it. Go grab a little bouquet of flowers, maybe a bottle of wine, whatever. It's just a matter of taking your time, slowing down, and letting somebody know that they're special. Just like you, Paul. Very, very special.
Elizabeth, I just saw somebody walk behind you.
Is it my cat?
Is that what that was? I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
It looks like a
cat.
dog and a cat.
My dog. I live in a zoo, Paul. Literally, I live in a zoo. And I saw your new house, and boy, isn't that fabulous.
Thank you.
Honey, it went viral, didn't it? Everybody knows where you live now.
Thank you. Yeah, it's.
Are you concerned that I'm going to show up at your door one day with food?
Well, we we need you to welcome us to that house because everyone has been there already. Um, so let me ask you this, but thank you anyway. Okay, you've given a couple of ideas. Give us. Those are the do's. What are some of the don'ts?
Don't ignore this holiday.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry. Even just the little tiniest thing is going to be better than nothing. You know, even if you just make a card. I mean, write it out on a piece of paper. You don't have to go and spend money. But I mean, seriously, don't just feel like this is a Hallmark holiday and you're not going to buy into it. It is. It's fun. It's fun.
So okay, so take us inside your rest of the day. I have a feeling you mentioned wine. Something tells me that will start. That's already started. I mean, after all, it's 2:38 in Oxford.
Exactly. And why not keep their tradition? I think every time I've been on your show, I've been halfway drunk or at least on my way.
Listen, right now you're about as sober as I've ever seen you.
I still have all of my kids' Valentines that I've got to go and deliver. I was so up to elbows in chocolate covered strawberries today that I hadn't had time to take care of them. My sweet husband is headed home from Nashville right now. He was at the Wild Turkey Federation. And anyway, so I think we're going to cook dinner. I went on and made those podocremes, which that recipe is on Instagram and TikTok, Elizabeth High School Official. Also, the steak recipe and the twice stuffed baked potatoes are also there. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to be making supper for him, and we're going to have a bottle of wine because we didn't make reservations. So I'm no better than y'all, and I still haven't gone to get those steaks. So I hope there's some left now that I'm talking all about them. Everybody's probably running to the Kroger as we speak.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I've had people literally call me before and say, don't you know somebody who runs a restaurant? You cannot get somebody into a restaurant on Valentine's night.
No, you just don't even call I don't care. I don't care if your mama owns the restaurant. It's rude for you to call right now. Just don't do it. And you can always go to breakfast tomorrow. That's the thing about Valentine's. And with it being on Friday, hell, we can just drag this out all the way to Sunday. I mean, seriously, I'm planning on milking this all
and by
weekend.
the way, it's a holiday weekend, too.
Oh, my God, we have 4 days. It's 4 days of Valentine extravaganzas. So you have time. Just because you didn't do something today, honey, you can do it tomorrow. You can wake up, make some pancakes, make some eggs Benedict, something like that. We're just going to keep this party rolling. I'm going to be wearing this shirt all weekend long.
Elizabeth, just the thought of 4 days with you this sounds really exhausting to me.
Oh, Paul, you just don't know until you try her. I'm serious. It's not exhausting. Exhilarating is what I like to say.
Well, anyway, every time you're on, I get I think when we were together in Atlanta, somebody said to me, I cannot believe what you said to her. Then I think it was Laura Rutledge said to me, I can't believe what you said to her when we were in Oxford. I mean, you just bring out, I'm not sure what you bring out in me, but I want to find out more about it, though.
Yeah, it's the relationship. Somebody said our relationship is the relationship that nobody knew they needed.
It's the one that you never had, but you're still searching for, even though you really don't want anybody to know.
That's it, Paul. You nailed it.
Well, I expect to see you again very soon in my life, especially with some of the things you just laid out in terms of what you're going to cook. One of these days, I am going to.
Look at what I did bring for you. It's a dragon fruit smoothie. It's a Valentine smoothie just for you. See, if you were here.
It's almost too cold where I am right now to have a smoothie unless I knew I could get warmed up immediately.
Okay, Paul, I love you.
Tell Mr. Elizabeth hello when he gets back from Nashville. I hope he's not listening. Thank you, Elizabeth, joining us from Oxford, Mississippi on this Valentine's Day. We'll take a short break.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
Welcome back. Great to have all of you here. And let's check in with Matt in New Orleans. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Paul, happy Valentine's, but don't go buy Dom Perignon. I just checked it. Cheapest I could find it is $2.58 a bottle.
Ooh.
You know, the only worst thing than that, I think, is this band. He was dying. He called his girlfriend over. He says, "Come here, baby," and he held her hand. He says, "Look, I want to make a confession." She says, "No, not now, please." He says, "No, I want to clean my slate." He says, "I had sex with your sister, your best friend, and your coworker." She says, "I know, dear. That's why I poisoned you."
That's great.
Anyway, now go to sleep. But anyway, yeah, I love that girl, that lady. I forgot her name, but every time I see her on the show, she always is so happy. You know, she reminds you of Laura a lot. You like women that are happy, I know.
She's great.
Your wife was a pretty happy person. She's very gay, huh?
No, Chef Elizabeth.
I mean, you know what? I don't mean that in any other way, but happy.
Oh no, I mean, I've got freedom on this show to say or do whatever I want. I think.
Well, I tell you what, I want y'all to have a happy. I also wanted to say, I think that how would you like to be Alabama? You're going to go play. The dean of coaches really in the SEC at Auburn. You know, with the number one team in the nation. You got to think they're the underdog, huh?
That's a good point. Hey, Matt, by the way, the game is in Tuscaloosa tomorrow. Trey is up next. Hey, Trey.
Hey, Paul. You said Judge John was nothing but word salad. Paul, that word salad had about 3 bottles of ranch dressing on it, didn't it?
It sure did.
If somebody will reach out to me and let me know how I can contribute to iMan's GoFundMe, I'd love to be able to do it.
Let me give that out because I tried to look at it. I mean, it's on social media, but you may not be able to find it. It's under it's a GoFund. It's you go to Go. Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Just look up GoFundMe.
Trey, what we're going to do in a minute. Do you know? Check out the show's social media handle, and
I can do that.
We're gonna tweet that. We just tweeted that out so people can get it more easily. And people always do what you want to do, what you can do, but if you can help, just check that out right now. And
I'm going to help because I love iMan to death.
And to contribute.
Hey, Paul, and do you think he might take some of the little fella's money that he's making about $500,000 a year, or would he turn the little fella's money down?
That's a good question.
One question about the game this weekend, Paul. There's no doubt in my mind Auburn has the best player. I think Alabama has the best guard play. If Alabama turns the ball over 10 times or less, they have a great chance of winning. And because they're at home, I'm saying Alabama 87, Auburn 81. iMan, legend, best of luck to y'all. Hope you get well, and thank you for taking my call, Paul.
You bet. Thank you very, very much. Matt is up next. Hey, Matt.
Hey, brother. How you doing, Mr. Paul Finebaum?
You're doing great. Well, thank you.
I'm not doing just the same old, but I want to talk about Buzz Williams' team this year. It's really good, I believe. I think it can go really far in basketball, win the SEC, and go far in the tournament. And I think A&M football next year, depending on our depth, that looks good in returning players with a lot of experience. I think A&M is going to make a statement and go 10-2 this year. And I wanted to ask you for a small favor. Ask the people on this show, if you guys find a way and get touch with Mitch for me, because there's some good news I want to tell you. I'm going to do the program for people with me with a roommate, has disability, and then after that I'm trying to get a place of my own. And I just want to see if you guys get in touch with him for me. I've been trying and I can't get in touch with him. And still want to do the reading program that's going to take care of things.
Okay, Matt. Well, I think we can help you out there. Thank you very, very much. All the best. Judge Chris is up next.
Good afternoon, Mr. Finebaum. Do you and the good doctor, do y'all play pickleball?
We have not played pickleball yet. I have. I have walked past it before and considered it, but I haven't done it.
It's like a cross between tennis and ping pong, like really big tennis, really big ping pong, or really small tennis. But you ought to play it. It's very romantic too. But hey, I've been married for 41, almost 42 years to Terry. I call her Miss Terry, but she was my Miss Terry before Miss Terry was Saban's Miss Terry.
Right.
But we have a strange and wonderful relationship. She's wonderful and I'm strange, and that works.
By the way, Judge,
me.
the Sabans have been married about 54 years, so I think they may have gotten there first.
Oh, yeah, but as far as my Terry, she's my Terry.
Okay.
So, but hey, I wanted to run I did a little film study, ran a quick comparison between Saban, Dabo, and no personality. What's his name? Ron Day? I don't even know his name. Day, the guy at Ohio State.
Ryan Day.
Yeah, they each came down. They had a timeout, all three of them, with 6 seconds left. Now, Ryan Day runs the quarterback, has him slide, doesn't call the timeout, and loses the game by 2. Could have kicked the field goal and won the game. All right? Fast forward or fast backward a little bit. Dabo and Saban, 6 seconds left. Saban tells his defensive backs, if they throw the ball in the end zone, interfere. That's brilliant, because if you interfere and you pull the man to the ground, they don't give you a score, and time runs off the clock, forcing Clemson to kick a field goal. They did it once, but they weren't able to get to it the second time. Dabo says, run the pick play. If they call offensive interference, we kick a field goal and tie the game. If they don't call it, we win the game.
We're up against a break, and we're coming right back.